Welcome back and welcome to session two, guys. This one's awesome. Anthony, I feel like had I met him in my previous life, would be my mentor moving into this life. I got to spend quite a bit of time with Anthony in Denver at our live conference in April. Anthony hosted us at his event space, and I got a full tour from him. I even got to do some cryotherapy there in his back room, but Anthony gets a chance not only to provide that hospitality in the space, but he goes around and he teaches larger event spaces, hospitality companies, hotels, all of it, on how to provide hospitality from the heart, right? And it's kind of piggybacking off of what we talked about. We opened up today talking about Rose Tipka's presentation from last week and hosting from the heart. So guys, it's such a pleasure. Other than the fact that he's an Oregon Duck, it is such a pleasure to introduce to you guys Anthony Lombados. You guys are about to get a bunch of value thrown.
Thank you, Fuad. This is it's an honor to be part of it, and appreciate you having me for today. All right, so I want to start, and I just want to make sure that you can see my screen. Uh, oh, there we go. Okay, so I want to start by having you think about a question that we all got asked when we were kids. What do you want to be when you grow up? And if you think back to what that was, for me, the answer to that question was not a caterer. My dad started Footers Catering in 1981. So I literally grew up in this business. And this is a picture, I think, of me serving my first beer. My dad is a hospitality pro. He absolutely loves the industry. He still has a restaurant today, but he was there all the time. My sister and I used to joke that if you want to see dad, you got to go to work. And so we often would, but it wasn't my passion. It was my dad's passion. What I wanted to be growing up was a professional basketball player. I would spend day and night out in the driveway shooting hoops, trying to, perfect my skills, my dribbling, my shooting. My mom would drag me in for dinner and eat as fast as I could, and I'd go back out and I'd be shooting until it got dark. But when I stopped growing at 5'9" in high school, my NBA dreams started to fade away. And so my attention turned to different avenues. Like Fuad said, I went to University of Oregon. I studied sports marketing. Thought I wanted to be in the sports industry, but my life took a turn of events, and I ended up working back for my dad after college. And we didn't work real well together. I was probably too young and arrogant to appreciate what he had to do to build a business from scratch, and he was pretty stubborn and set in his ways, and so he wasn't really willing to see where I wanted to go. And I remember there was one day specifically that I was pretty frustrated with my dad, and I was having breakfast with a mentor, Bob Carruthers. I'll never forget it. We were in one of those greasy spoon diners, the place where the waitress calls you hon and the air just smells this permeated smell of bacon. And I looked at Bob and I said, Bob, I missed my calling. And he said, what do you mean? What are you talking about, Anthony? And I said, well, I should have been a college basketball coach. And this is a picture of Mike Krzyzewski, the winningest college basketball coach of all time, and somebody that I always looked up to. And Bob humored me because here I am, a 20-something-year-old, acting like I'm living, reflecting on a life, long lived. And Bob said, well, why, Anthony? And I said, well, here's the thing, Bob. In college, you recruit people to come be part of your team, and you got all these different personalities. And so when they get there, you got to help them work together. And their strategy and game plan of thinking about how you prepare for an opponent. They want to get to the next level, and so you get to help them grow. And I'm going on and on. And Bob looks at me after I've just stopped and he said, Anthony, you have a chance to do all of that right now at Footers. And it was that moment that fundamentally changed how I looked at my job because I realized my job wasn't to worry about what we were going to serve or how we were going to execute an event. My job was to bring the right people into our organization, to create an opportunity where they could work together to help them grow and get to the next level. Those were the things that I'm passionate about. And so that is rooted in what we do today. When my wife April and I purchased the business from my father 15 years ago, we set out to just create a great place to work. We didn't care about winning a bunch of awards. We didn't care about being the biggest caterer in Denver. We just wanted to create a place where when our team came, they actually enjoyed what they were doing. And that has manifested itself into something that's beyond my wildest dreams. We have a three-bullet mission statement. It's easy to remember. I'm not a big fan of the long, scripty mission statement that says we strive to be the best, blah, blah, blah. And no one really remembers what that is. So we came up with ours, 3 bullets. Our team knows what it is. Love what you do, make it better every day, and create exceptional experiences. We get to come to work and enjoy it. We get to not do the same thing my dad did 40 years ago. We get to keep evolving and making it better. And the third part, we get to be part of some of the most special days in people's lives. And so we don't ever take that for granted. Our focus on creating a great place to work and pouring into our people has led to, like I said, results that are beyond my wildest dreams. If you would have painted a picture of where we are today, back then when we bought the company, I would have been like, you're full of it. I don't know what you're talking about. We've quadrupled our revenue. We've been listed as the best place to work by multiple organizations for over 10 years, and our turnover is 50% below what industry average typically has. As Fuad mentioned, we have a venue called Social Capital. It's here in just northwest of Denver, Colorado. We have a 40,000 square foot building. Half of it is dedicated to events where we can host people and groups of all sizes. And then, as Fuad also mentioned, we have a third company called MIBE. And MIBE is that acronym for Make It Better Every Day. If you remember the middle part of our mission statement, our team actually came up with this acronym. One day I went into the kitchen and they said, did you see the MIBE that happened? I said, what are you talking about, MIBE? And they said, well, we're making it better every day. We're always working on that. And so it is part of the vernacular here. When you come and live in our facility and see what we're doing, our team embraces this idea of how do we keep evolving and getting better. We've gotten a pretty good reputation for what we've done on a national level, and I'm so humbled by that. And so we had people coming to us asking us, how did you do this? How did you create this great place to work? How have you had this success? And it all roots back to taking care of our people. And so we started a sister company called MIBE, fittingly named it after that middle part of the mission statement. And all we do is focus on providing education for the hospitality and event industry, all around helping people become better leaders so that they can create better places to work. Because what we believe is that when you love what you do, you actually enhance the value of your life, that you go home and pour the fun and the excitement you had from work into the people you love the most. And if you also aren't loving what you're doing, you're probably going to negatively impact the people you love by bringing home all of that weight and garbage with you on the flip side. So that's what we do at Mime. But today we're going to get into what we talk about with heart leadership and culture and what it means to create a great place to work. Some of you may have teams, some of you may not have teams. Either way, this is going to be applicable to how you operate, because there are people around you every single day. None of us can operate in a silo totally on our own. We're constantly working with other people. And I'm confident that this presentation today is going to inspire you to look at that a little bit differently. I want to first set the stage for what is culture, because the culture conversation kind of has shifted to ping pong tables and beer fridges, and the tech industry hijacked that a little bit, which is okay. And it's part of culture, but it's not at the foundation. My belief is that culture comes down to 3 things. Number 1, do you have people that are utilizing their strengths? Every day they're coming to work and doing what they do best. I think every single person has a natural gift that they're better at than 80, 90% of the population. The saddest thing is that most people never figure out what that is, and so they never get to put it into play. When we put people in jobs where they're utilizing their strengths, they're going to be more productive, they're going to be more fulfilled, they're going to be happier. Number 2, is there purpose in what you do? When you come to work, do you feel like your work matters? Are you working for a company that you believe in? Are you working for a reason that translates to, if I do this today, I know the impact it's going to have? When there's purpose in our work, again, we're going to enjoy that more and do better work. And 3, are we doing it with people we love, trust, and respect? When we come to work and get to be around our closest friends, that's when we create an environment that's truly enjoyable for us to be part of. And when we get those 3 things right, with strengths, purpose, and relationships, that's the foundation of a great place to work. And then you can add the fun stuff and the perks and benefits, and we'll get into some of those. It's no secret that mental health is a huge issue right now. And I think as leaders, we have to be aware of this. And this is at the crux of why I believe heart leadership matters more than ever. I also think that we are at a leadership crisis right now. When you look at our political figures, and I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, it's constant fighting, and you're right, and this one's wrong. We look at the overemphasis on short-term earnings and corporate greed, that we're making decisions based on tomorrow and what we need to get done, as opposed to decisions that are going to impact us for the better in the long term, maybe 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road. And finally, when you look at who we celebrate on TV as reality stars or influencers, I'm not sure those are the best influences when we think about what true leadership should look like. What I want you to do for a minute here is think about a leader you've had in your life, somebody that you really loved working with, somebody, maybe it was a boss, maybe it's somebody, a coworker, but somebody that you really respected as a leader. And now I want you to also think about somebody that you did not respect as a leader, maybe a terrible boss that you had or somebody that you worked with that was awful. I want you to think about why you categorize them in those categories. Were they a great leader because of their intellect, how smart they were, how much knowledge they had? Were they a great leader because of their technical intelligence, their technical expertise, how good at the job they were? For in my industry, were they a great chef and did that make them a great leader? Or was it number 3? Was it their emotional intelligence, how they made you feel? That when you were coming to work, you got excited to see that person because you knew they were going to give you a challenge that maybe you didn't even think you were ready for, or maybe they were going to give you that opportunity to take on a new project. They were going to pat you on the back when you fell down, and they were going to celebrate you when you had those wins. Now think about the bad leader. Which one would you categorize the bad leader? Why did you characterize them that way? Was it because of their intellect? They weren't very smart? Was it because they weren't good at their job? Or was it number 3, how they made you feel? Did they make you feel less than? Were they taking credit for your work? Were they belittling you or yelling at you when you made mistakes? All of those things factor in. And when I do this exercise in person, I'll have people write their bad leader and their great leader on a post-it note, and we'll come up and we'll put it on a sheet of paper in the category it belongs. And overwhelmingly, this is what always happens. We get 5, 10% that may fall in that IQ, TQ range, but overwhelmingly, the biggest difference between great leaders and bad leaders comes back to emotional intelligence, how we make people feel. And we get the least education in this area. We focus so much of our schooling on intellect and knowledge, and then we get into our careers and we focus on the technical things that we need to know, but we leave out that third part and we don't do enough to understand how can we be better leaders from an emotional standpoint for our people. At MIBE, we have 4 convictions: lead, love, MIBE, and vibe. I'm going to run through these for you because I think it provides a framework for what it takes to be a true heart leader. The first one is lead. Value people for more than the job they do. Value people for more than the job they do. See, I don't think when I open the door at work that personal Anthony stays outside and professional Anthony all of a sudden comes into work. If my personal life's in shambles, it's probably going to impact how I show up at work and vice versa. So I think we need to invite the whole person to work and constantly be looking for the balance of how do we make sure that we're supporting the people that work in our business, but that they are also supporting the business. Because when either one of those two things gets out of whack, it doesn't work. Years ago, we had somebody, 𝐤𝐸𝐸𝐸 work for us. She worked for us for over 10 years. And I'm not a big fan of the annual review. So what we prescribe to is monthly one-to-ones, where every month you get a one-to-one interaction with your direct report. And Carrie, in my one-to-one with her, a month after she came back from maternity leave, let me know that her husband had been diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma. Telling this story, I still get chills thinking about that moment because at the time, I didn't even know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I just felt this huge weight on my shoulder for what she was going through. Here, a brand new mom and her husband, 30 something years old, otherwise healthy, is now in the fight of his life. And all I said to Carrie was, "What can we do for you?" And Carrie was very organized, and it shouldn't have been a surprise that she had this all planned out. And she said, "Here's the thing. I don't want to stop working. I know how important it's going to be for me to be strong for my family. And I need to be able to come someplace where I know people will be strong for me, that I can lean on them. And so I want to keep working. But the only thing that I'll ask is that I want to be able to go to all of his doctors and chemo appointments." And at the time, this was long before remote work was a thing and a possibility in our industry. And so I said, "Yeah, we can do that." And you fast forward, and it's an amazing, happy story. They actually have a second child, and he's in full remission. But at the last chemo appointment, the nurses were questioning Carrie about, "Who do you work for and where do you work? You have a full-time job? Why? Wait." They're asking her all these questions. And Carrie said, "Why are you asking me all these things?" And they said, "Well, here's the thing. We've never had a significant other come to every appointment that was a full-time employee somewhere else." And I tell the story not to give myself a pat on the back, but I tell the story because it shocked me that that wasn't the norm. What we did was something that was an exception for people. Were there times Carrie didn't get all of her work done? Yes, 100%. But you know what happened in those times? everyone else on our team stepped up today and want to get my weekly message. I send out, it's a leadership message. I try to keep it quick, so it's a 2 to 4 minute read each week, something to pick you up and inspire you. You can find that there. You can also, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, or my leadership is our Instagram handle for our company. This was awesome. It's always a little crazy talking to a screen, but I feel the energy, Fuad, and you set me up right, and we've got a great audience. So thank you for having me.
I mean, in the chat, who the hell is overwhelmed? I'm a little overwhelmed. I mean, if you're overwhelmed, drop it. But actually, no, all kidding aside, what I'd like you guys to drop in the chat, Anthony hit something and he asked, what have you done that you're really proud of that was
Yeah.
not right? That was not easy. Like, anybody think of that? Does anybody have any to share in that chat box that they want to throw out real quick? This event, yeah.
Yeah,
I
Jody.
mean, that's fair, Jody. I'd say you have overachieved here, young lady. Rose, very good presentation. We have been very fortunate to find unicorns to work with. Follow your gut. Quitting
Oh,
teaching.
quitting
You know what,
teaching.
Stacy? Hell yeah. I mean, like,
Right?
I'll give you a hell yeah on that one. That is really awesome. Interesting
Because
to
it's
know.
more comfortable to stay in what we know, right? And to take that leap. That's awesome.
No doubt about it. And my insurance policy was always, I can go back to banking any day. And I'm sure you could be a teacher again anytime now, Stacy, but you're never going to need to be again, I think. Operating a boutique hotel was not easy for sure.
I see this question here, Fuad, about which I get actually quite a bit. So, how to create company culture when your team is remote? And here's what I will say: you can do it. It is hard, and I don't. And let me back up. I think creating a great place to work in general is hard. So now I'm not going to sit up here and say this is easy to do. This takes work and discipline every day. You have to be focused on culture. You can't just say, oh, let's make ourselves a great place to work and then go back to doing whatever you're doing. We think about culture every single month, every day, every week. It is threaded through everything we do. And so the same thing happens from a remote environment. The problem with remote is that you don't have the benefit of those random interactions, right? The people bumping into each other at the water cooler and gathering everybody around. And so you have to manufacture that to an extent. I share that, like, during the pandemic, I was part of a call, and every Monday at 8 a.m., we were on that call together to support each other. I became closer with that group of friends than many of the friends that I've had for years, simply because of consistency and authenticity, that we were showing up and sharing intentional things and helping one another. And so if you have remote teams, you have to be thinking, we can't just show up for our meetings that we have. We have to plan virtual happy hours. We have to plan meetings where we're talking about each other, where we're in making sure that we're connecting beyond just what it looks like to do our actual physical work.
Well, and yeah, I think that the easiest example I could point everybody to is this event right here that we're at. When we were at Anthony's space in April, we walked in the front door, you went up the stairs to the exhibitors booth, you came down the stairs, there was the bar area, the gathering space, the chairs, and everywhere you went, there were people, and you were walking
Yep.
past. And here, we've been talking about it almost each space here, each step of the way here. Reach out to people, go into the booth area, go into the marketing area, and you got to reach out and you got to connect with people. I've seen so many companies in my consulting days where there's core values on the wall, but it's just a marketing thing.
Yep.
They didn't live them, they didn't. And I think your red dot picture there was perfect because, I think as the world has evolved, the one thing we've learned is you can teach anybody to do anything. And people have stopped hiring on qualifications. They've
Yep.
begun to hire on core values. Do you fit the core values? Do you fit the culture here? And if you do, we'll teach you how to do X, Y, and Z. That's easy. That's the easy part. And
100%.
I love that. I think that's super. And the last thing I'll give there too is in your performance evaluations and your reviews, tie all of the KPIs back to your core values. And if every
Yep.
single quarter and every single year, when you review performance, you're reviewing them on how do you fit the core values, you're embedding the culture and the DNA of every single person in that business. And they understand that they're not just punchlines on the wall anymore, it's actual
It,
performance.
you're spot on. It becomes a great coaching tool, right? Like when you're having trouble with somebody, odds are you could point to one of your core values and be like, You showing up late to work every day, that really is violating our value of teamwork and
Yep.
respect. Like you're not helping the team and it's not respectful. And so when we attack that behavior and how it ties to a core value, so much easier than attacking the person.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Guys, I know you've got all the value. This is the second time I've had the pleasure, and I hope I get to do it 10 times more. But guys, let's give a round of applause and a hell yeah for Anthony Lombardo's. God, Anthony, we know what you're doing. We know what you're crushing over there, and we're so grateful you took the time to share with us. Thank you so much, my man.
It's been an honor. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Love what you're doing here. Incredible, incredible community. So thank you.
Thanks, brother. Talk soon.